Hey y'all, this is Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey Kat. And this is the Fake Ass Book Club. Wait, can we both say it or no?
Hey guys, this is your girl Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey Kat, what's up?
Oh, just chilling, ready to get into this book club.
I know, guys. Well, welcome back to the Fake Ass Book Club. We're happy to see you guys. Hopefully, you're having a good week so far. We're here to serve our function for you this week, you guys. We're here to get you through the rest of this week till Friday. And we're serving up some pretty good content this week. So we hope you enjoy. We have a really fantastic documentary. So this is not a new documentary, but Christiane Amanpour has a documentary called Sex and Love Around the World. And let me give you guys a little glimpse about what we're going to talk about. So Christiane Amanpour explores what modern love means throughout the world, traveling to Asia, Africa, Europe, and the Middle East to meet every individual. Christiane Amanpour explores what modern love means throughout the world, traveling to Asia, Africa, Europe, and the Middle East to meet everyday individuals who are shaping the idea of love. What a fantastic topic.
Yeah. That's what the world needs now.
That's what I heard.
It's just never enough.
Never enough. It's the only thing.
It's the only thing. There's just too little love. That and clean water.
That too. Wow. Okay, that part. I know that's right, friend.
Oh, if only that were just a joke.
So thank you though for putting this on my radar. I have to say this isn't something that I was up on, and I have
been trying to get you to watch it for years,
and you have been mentioning it consistently for years. So finally, you broke me down. So you know what? Let's hear it for consistency and perseverance
and nagging.
Insistence. Yeah, that part. You know what I mean? I appreciate
and not shutting up about it
Yeah,
until it
listen,
happens.
it gets shit done, yo.
It does.
It really does.
Very effective. So yes,
Yes.
I'm glad you finally watched it so we can finally talk about it because I've been wanting to do this for years. This thing came out. When did it come
Yay.
out?
2018.
Yeah. So I've been like, and so this was the same year that I got divorced, I
No.
want to say, or filed
Okay.
for divorce.
All right, shit was going down.
It was. So I was like in a place, but then the documentary helped to give me some perspective. So a little bit on Christiane Amanpour, CBE, is a British Iranian journalist and television host. Amanpour is the chief international anchor for CNN and host of CNN International's nightly interview program, Amanpour. She is also host of Amanpour and Company on PBS.
I like it.
Yes. And she's got such a good personality about it. I mean, she's just fantastic. And I really like the fact that she's like, you know what? Because even though she doesn't say it in the title or anything, this documentary is really about the plight of women around the world. Even though I mean, she talks to men too, but she's mostly talking to women, I noticed. And
I noticed as well, friend.
Yeah. So I'm excited to get into it.
Excellent. Okay, so before we get into it, my God, I mean, I feel like we should do a thing that we always do. So,
oh yeah,
hands over your heart, you guys. We want to definitely dedicate. Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
we want to dedicate this episode to all of our listeners. You guys, thank you so much for supporting us. Yay! Hopefully, you're watching this on YouTube. We both have on lipstick tags, so you're welcome. Also, I want to dedicate this episode, you guys, to the human spirit, because it is so tenacious and it seeks love and connection. And that's what we're about at the Fab Podcast. So shout out to us for, you know what I'm saying? I mean, still striving in the midst of all of this bullshit and this dumpster can of a earth that we have. I mean, we still try to find love every day. We still try to find shit that makes us feel good. And I'm about that because life is short and we have to enjoy it. So shout out to us, guys. What about you?
Yes, and your dedication, friend. My dedication this week is going out to the New York Times word puzzle Wordle. I was trying to think about what's been inspiring me and getting through things, and it's Wordle. I look forward to the Wordle puzzle every day. I feel deeply satisfied when I get it right, which I almost always do. I've only missed it once. And yeah, thank you for all the nerds and editors over at the New York Times for Wordle. It really helps to relieve my stress.
All right, well, dedication over, friend. I
Yeah.
mean, that
dedication over.
was.
Oh, and also, I think I'm going to start posting my Wordle score every day on the Fab Instagram. Because
Listen,
you can,
do it.
after you get it right, you can have the option to share your results. And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I'm really proud of myself and I do want to share.
It's like, let me go ahead and
So,
screenshot this and flex on these hoes.
yeah,
Okay,
I'm
let me go and
like,
let
I
y'all
got that
know
in 3
what I'm
tries.
working with. Okay,
Yeah. And I'll
that's
be
what's
like,
up, friend. I don't even know what Wordle is, but good evening. I mean, I've heard of it, but I've never seen it, so I don't.
it's fun, especially if you like word games. I love like Scrabble and Words with Friends and like all that stuff. Just I find it incredibly relaxing.
You know what's weird? I'm just well,
I
and
like weird
so quick
stuff.
sidebar, guys. I'm sorry, and we're gonna get into the show, but I mean, word like games in general. Like I'm trying to get into it. I'm trying. Actually, I'm not trying.
Yes.
I'm not trying. I'm saying the words because I want to try.
No, you downloaded an app the other day, right?
I looked at it, didn't download it.
Okay.
I was gonna concert. I was going to not concert. What? That's not the word. I was
Concentrate?
going to no, 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 no.
Oh,
Anyway, I know somebody who has the app that we were talking about, and I was gonna talk to them about which app they have. So and go from there. But and
gotcha.
then I forgot.
Okay.
And so boom, here we are.
It
So
happens.
anyway, you guys, enough about that. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of ground to cover, you
We
guys.
do. I mean, we're going all
Um
over the world.
we're taking a trip, you guys. Come with us. It's about to be fun. It's
Yes.
great. So I definitely okay. Sorry. Shameless plug. You guys, we have a Patreon coming, right? I have to say this right now, you guys. I'm super excited about this because I feel like, I was telling Kat, so we've already started recording sort of content for our Patreon. So when you log on there, you already have videos waiting for you. And first of all, Kat promised that you get to see her bottom half, and she was not lying.
I
Okay. She came to
wasn't.
slay. She had it was a vibe. That's all I'm going to say. Like, you would have to get the Patreon if that's something you're interested in. Um, we want to be able to continue conversations that we don't get a chance to finish. I mean, we're already long-winded, as you can see, but it's just going to be really fun, and we get to upgrade. Like, I'm hoping that the support that we see through Patreon, we can upgrade the visual experience for you guys, the audio experience for you guys, integrate some things that have you guys coming in and giving us your feedback. So I'm super excited to launch this. So guys, be looking out for that. I just have to throw that in there before we start. So now that I got that out the way, you guys, let's get into it. So, Kat, can you give us the breakdown on what the hell we are here for today?
We're here
Sex
for
and love.
sex. Yeah, we're here for sex and love around the world. So
Mhm.
it's a 6-part documentary. So each part is a different country. So we
Mm.
start in Tokyo, then we go to Delhi, then we go to Beirut, Berlin, Beijing, and then we finish off in Ghana.
Yes, we do.
And so I think you watched them a little out of order, which is allowed.
So I watched the last one first, and
Okay.
then I watched them in order after that, and started kind of watching the last one again, but didn't finish.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So I mean, that's pretty much it. And like I said, she mostly does speak to women. Like it comes in hot. Like in Tokyo, we're talking to a secret sex worker. She's married, but her husband thinks she's an office worker, but she's actually, working them
Not.
Kate. Yeah, like she just works
Yeah.
out of a hotel and like sees several clients a day and has sex with them. And what was to me interesting about Tokyo that stood out was just how much of the population is sexless. And
Yo.
there's a ton of, they were talking about the manga and kind of hentai aspects. A lot of times when we think of anime,
Well, wait, let's stop right there because it's
okay.
so cute. You're so cute. I love this
Oh, thank
because
you.
you're thinking that people know what that is exactly always, like, and they don't. And so, cause like for me, I had never heard that word before. Manga, I
Oh,
had never I
it's a
don't know
big part
nothing about
of my
that.
life.
Or shugo, whatever. There was a bunch of I didn't know. So I think you should explain a little bit what that is. I mean,
So, anime like, manga is sort of Japanese, cartoon, like, graphic novels, and so it's a lot of it's in the style of what we would think anime is, but they do a lot of, sort of yeah, but they're graphic novels, so they're very story driven, but there's pictures, and a lot of times they have heavy adult sexual themes.
thank you. I can for that part. It's like there's cartoons, okay? That's
Yeah.
what they are, that's how they're used.
Yes, yes, and, what was the other thing that was really kinky? Um
It was like Shugo or Shujo. It's like the guys was it the no, that's the girls on girls. You talking about the guys on guys one? The pretty
Yeah,
boy
that was
stuff?
it. Yeah, that
That's
was
still
the
part of manga?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That was what
that's
was
its own
interesting to
category.
me.
Yeah, that was very, very, but just the fact that, Japanese society is very polite and restrained. So the idea of like public displays of affection is still very taboo. They're talking about how like
Mhm.
a lot of times they don't even say I love you.
It's embarrassing for
It
them.
I put in my notes, I remember when we were in like junior high, we had a Japanese
We
teacher
did, I do remember
who would
that.
come in and teach us Japanese, and I remember she would not teach me the phrase "I love you" in Japanese. She wouldn't even say
Really?
it to me.
She's like,
She was
I don't know what that
she
is."
was like, she was like, "You wouldn't say you don't need to learn that because 'cause you're never gonna say it to anybody."
It's like, "We don't do that here." Like, "What are you talking about?"
I was like, I'm like, I never had someone refuse to teach me something, but that's very Japanese where it's just like, you just really don't I'm not giving you access to that knowledge, you don't need that.
Right, but what was
So
interesting to me about that in particular, though, was that, like, it sounds like historically speaking, Japan was a pretty sexually liberated country. Like, when you go back past the 19th century and the Victorian era, which seems to be where the shift was in sex culture and stuff like that. I mean, like, there was a point where she had this lady who, I don't know how she had access to these people, but they had these, like, ancient scrolls from, like,
the
I don't
Shogun period,
from forever.
like
I
with
don't even know when
yeah,
that
with
was,
the
16th, 15th?
samurais and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah, back
and it
then.
back then, and it's, like, showing, like, all these sexual positions
Yeah, they're
and,
erotic scrolls.
super yeah, you know what I mean? And how, like, they ended up being, like, banned and, when
That's
when
really
the
when tentacle porn started. Like, they would, like, draw pictures
whoa,
of
whoa, whoa,
women
whoa, whoa, whoa,
copulating with
whoa.
octopuses.
That happened when?
That would've been, like, back in those days, like, there's ancient scrolls of, like, women, like, copulating with, like, octopuses and stuff like tentacle
Oh,
porn.
shit, I didn't see that, but okay, yeah.
That's just
And
a
they had,
fun
like, a
I like
monk.
it's a fun art history fact.
Okay, okay, see, that's why we keep you around.
Yeah.
And then I just remember one of the pictures was like a eunuch or something, or I think it was a eunuch or a monk who I think
Yeah.
vows to not excuse me, not a eunuch, they don't have balls, they probably don't even want sex. Um,
That's not always true.
is that not
No, you can still, like, have that desire even if you don't have the hormones for it. That's why
Oh,
chemical castration doesn't really work for, like, treating pedophilia, like, it's your brain.
oh,
So, like
no.
yeah,
You have to be
yeah.
like, do a lobotomy or something?
I don't know how you cure that actually, but
Okay, work on that,
yeah.
friend, you're the smart ones,
Okay,
okay? We wanna
then
answer in the next episode
no,
on how you
no,
fix
no,
that.
I'm not a professional, like, so no, one should listen to
It's
me
like,
on
"No, bitch,
that,
I just
but
read books, okay? Hey."
yeah, a little bit.
Okay. But yeah, that was, pretty interesting to me and how, like, colonialism and the idea of that like, all that virtue stuff, like, you need a shirt buttoned up to here, and, like, sex is very like, we don't do that out in public, so we're gonna need y'all to wrap that shit up, and how they burned all that stuff and or buried it, and
Mhm.
it went underground, but, um, yeah, that was just crazy to me. I'm like, "Okay, that sounds about right." So,
But I like
um
how it ended though, because they had that Society for Affection or wait, what was it? Let me find the actual
oh,
name
that
of
was
it.
so
The Adoring
cute.
Husband Organization, where they would, like, make public declarations of love and, like, scream how much they love their wives.
It
That
was
was actually really I kinda teared up a little bit. It was really, really sweet.
so cute. And this is like every year they have this thing. And the couple who kind of introduced it, they were a little like throughout that whole section, they just showed, they said 40% of this was in 2018, mind you. So the fact, the facts could be different now. But at that point in time, 40% of the men in their population were virgins. And, you're hearing stories about you're trying to have sex with your husband and he's watching porn, right? And then you're trying to like have sex with him and
He's just looking at
basically
his phone.
yeah, he's looking at his phone and the whole time and the interchangeability between like people and technology and just like the lack of physical touch and just intimacy, like, the word intimacy means nothing in Japan, like, it's almost like sex it's almost like marriage and love are 2 separate things, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah,
marriages is
because there was
just
that woman there who was talking about, like, how she had a boyfriend and because her and her husband, like, don't sleep together, they don't have anything, but at the same time, like, she can't be open about
the fact
like,
that
you
I
still have to
wanna
keep
have
it a
sex.
secret. Yeah, like, everything has
Yeah.
to be, like, kinda
It's
shush,
code
shush,
switching
and
in a way because it's like
it's
you
a
have
front
to
fest.
it's a
Like, we
whole
have to
fucking
act all
front fest.
polite and buttoned down, like, "Oh, I would never," and then everybody, of course, is busting it wide open.
It's like, but so, like, who are we doing this for then? Like, it just seems weird because it's like if everybody
Society,
wants to
honor.
I know, but it's like nobody's actually honoring any fucking thing, like, it's the worst, it's so fake.
Yeah, it
So,
is.
anywho, but yeah, it was super fascinating, the sexless marriages and how people just, like, leaned into that shit was crazy, but then once the girl said she had a boyfriend, I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean,
Mhm, it's
because that's
normal.
yeah, because at some point, like, that's not I mean, I don't know. I guess, there are people who are asexual who don't want sex or don't have, high sex drive, but it's just like, if this is my person that I'm supposed to be signed up for the rest of my life, like,
"Wha wha
what am
wha
I supposed
what?"
what am I supposed to be doing though if we're not doing that? Like, I'm confused, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm a little confused as to how you could be cool with that unless it's on both sides, or I have to assume that everybody has somebody on the side at some point.
Probably, I would say more
Yeah,
than most.
yeah,
Okay, well,
definitely. So moving
I'm gonna
on.
leave Tokyo and go to
Let's go to Delhi,
Delhi
guys. Oh my
in
gosh.
India, which was it was very Delhi was they said very metropolitan, but
Mhm.
still, kind of conservative, whereas because it's the same thing, like, no PDA, like, public displays of affection, very frowned upon, but I think a big theme was the arranged marriages, like, that's really, really big in India, and the fact that there's this, the newer generation of Indians who are like, they've got Tinder over there now, and they were saying it was really hard to explain the concept of dating
There's
to
no context
the
for it.
Indian population. Like, yeah, they had nothing to, really compare it to, but, um I think that I don't know, what did you find most fascinating about the Delhi one?
So I really like that one. I think to piggyback off of what you're saying as far as the dating part, like the fact that she mentioned that like men and women don't even interact with each other outside of like your family members and stuff like that until you're of age. And at that time, they're basically like selling you off to be married. So the awkwardness in male female sort of like relationships or how we just you don't even know how to talk to a boy because by the time you do talk to one, it's like, "Oh, I know that this guy's gonna take my virginity." Something that I've been having to hold on to all this time that you're telling me is, you know what I mean, like the most
Super
important
valuable.
aspect of who I am as a person and what makes me valuable. And then here's, you know what I'm saying? Here are these guys here to take that away from me. So that has to be super awkward because really, like, now you're just looking at me as a uterus.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
and
because
boobs.
right, because here's the thing, there is no flirtation in that, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, "No, you're gonna be my
Or
wife, you're
you
gonna have
have
my
a secret
kids."
one because they say a lot of people just have secret boyfriends. Because I
Of
remember that
course.
from like, Beckham, like, where the main character, her sister she was helping her sister sneak around.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it was just kind of
But that
it
makes
was an
sense.
open secret, like, everybody knew, the mama knew, the
And
sis
and everybody's fine with it, like, at a certain point, because, like, as long as you don't make me look bad, you know what I'm saying? Like, you
right.
can't make me look bad. I'm not gonna be the first generation to fail at upholding these, you know what I'm saying, unattainable fucking social order. Like, I don't wanna be the first one to do
Yeah.
that. So and it was funny to me too because when she was asking this guy, like, "So, like, the date, like, can you hold hands and, like, do that, like, when you're walking down the street?" He was like, "I mean, nah, cause the aunties is watching." Like,
I put that in my
I
notes
thought that was
too.
hilarious, like, "Oh, yeah, they're watching," and it's like it's that overarching feeling like, you know, your life isn't your own, like, it's definitely
It's a performance for
It's
society.
yes, it's a whole intricate ass show, and also too, it seems like that same kinda aspect of the imposition of respectability politics came in after the British came in and changed that shit.
Yes.
The Kama
Oh,
Sutra, all that shit, like,
well,
they were a sexual culture. I mean, they have sex on their temples, like, you have that shit etched in on their,
I
like,
was so irritated
temples.
that we didn't learn more about that in, like, the architecture part of when I took art history,
Yeah.
because that, I'm gonna try to pronounce it, let's see if I get it
Oh, look
right.
at you.
It was the temple is called the Khajuraho,
Okay.
and please Google it, people, if I wish I had been
Send me
prepared
the
in case
name, like, just text it to
alright,
me, I'll put it in the notes too, you guys. If you're
okay.
interested, go to the notes, I'll put it in there.
But it's incredible. Like, it's really, really hard to describe how intricate these sculptures and reliefs are on the outside of this temple, and it is a several stories high temple. I think it's like how high is it? Um, oh, man, it doesn't have how
It's
high it is.
high,
It's, like, several stories
very.
tall, and it's just these like, life-size sculptures of people doing it in a bunch
Mm,
of different positions,
hold up,
like
you did send it to me.
yeah.
Let's
It's wild.
go.
The person who was describing
Oh,
it was part of the Hydra class, or not class, but or, like, it's not a cast, but
they're
it's,
doing it. They're
they're
doing it.
doing it
They're doing it,
hard in, like,
doing it,
groups and
doing
everything,
it.
like, it's wild, like,
Okay.
it's
Good
incredible
for
to think
them.
that thousands of years ago, these temples were built by before modern instruments, like,
I
these were
know. That's
hand-carved
crazy.
sculptures
Right.
of
Penises, vaginas,
tongues.
breasts. Right,
Yeah,
the whole thing.
everything. Very
All the
large,
whole
uncircumcised penises. Like, it was just and
for your
it's
viewing
on a
pleasure.
temple. Like, this was a whole like, entire organization, um, dedicated to worshiping the act of copulation. But there's also, their trans people are called Hedra.
Yeah, the hetero community, super crazy,
And
not
that was
crazy, but, like,
fascinating to me
yes,
because it's, like, the same struggle, like, that what I'm realizing when you learn about the world all around the world, same song. So, there is,
indeed.
like, almost sort of social purgatory because it's different over there because, like you said before, the British, they were more sexually open, and then
Mhm.
afterwards, it gets all buttoned up, like, they're more conservative than British people now, pretty
Right, which is
much.
super weird.
So, they're in this flux because they used to think of the Hedra as, like, sacred almost.
Mhm.
So, they have to kind of beg, and then, like, there's some, prevail like, some residual superstition where people will throw them a couple coins, but for the most part, they're relegated to sex work, which is
Yeah.
very similar to, kind of what we learned about in Pose, where we're, like, perfectly happy to exploit and fetishize a certain group of people, but we won't let them participate in society, even though the person she was interviewing, I don't know what her like, because I don't know what the pronoun game is over there, but they were like, "I'm an engineer, but I can't get a job because of my identity. So
Hello.
I'm
Right.
kind of, like, pushed into sex work."
Mhm.
And it was kinda wild wild because 'cause I'm like, "Yeah, there's nothing wrong here. Like, why can't you just" I don't
I
know,
mean,
man.
it's super weird because it's like, you don't have any because the social implications of because that's what they were saying. They were saying that at their job, they were starting to transition, and before that, it was fine, but when they saw it in action, it was like, "Yeah, nah, like, we're not doing that."
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really, really sad because, they have no upward mobility in society, and so that puts people in a really dangerous situation because they're more likely to get murdered. They're more likely to, be beat up. and just be in physical danger and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
also, they want them they're expected to perform songs and dances. People still
Mhm.
have them come and perform at stuff too, like
At
when your kids
weddings,
are
because it's
born.
like
Yeah,
seen as good luck.
it's like, oh my God, they're here, like for fertility and that's what I'm saying. Like that's not what I'm saying, but it's unfortunate that we turn people into it's like, "Oh, you're this thing, and so I'll use you for that," but outside of that context, like, you have no value here
Yeah, like, that's
because you're
stripping
not the
their
status quo.
humanity.
It
Yeah, like, you're not
certainly is.
as,
Yeah,
I don't know. I get what you're saying, though. Like,
yeah. Well, the
that was,
Tribal Act, because actually they actually passed a law, and I wanna say it was in the 19 I'll put that in the notes too, if you're interested, but there was, like, a law that, like, criminalized, basically, um hedras and limited their access in society and all of that kind of stuff. And so it was like, it ended up being like you could get locked up. And
yeah.
so it's
And
just kind of
that
fucked
was
up,
the,
man.
other organization was the Love Commandos, where they
That
were
was cute.
fighting for, intercaste relationships, because they would still like,
That was
it's so
cute. I saw
crazy.
that
It's like
too.
your family might kill you if
Your
you
family.
Yeah, if you're Brahmin and you wanna date someone who's sick, they might be like, "Nah, we'll
Yeah.
just kill you."
Yep.
And so it's so crazy, like, they had to hide out and stuff like that just because people wanna be in love. I think my favorite was the girl who, met her boyfriend on Tin or her husband on Tinder, and her mom was trying to be like, "No, he's the wrong caste," and she's like, "Well, fine, Imma marry him and you'll never see me again and you'll be sad because Imma be so happy."
Mhm.
And finally her mom came around and stuff, but I really,
That was cute.
that was very inspirational.
Wait, one last story though. Do you remember toward the top of it? Because you were talking about Tinder and how you had to, kind of introduce the idea of flirting and dating and all that stuff and interacting with a male female situation when it's not like a marriage thing. So the two girls, there was one who was like in the film, one was filming it, and they had like a hidden camera in her purse, and her goal was to have sex with as many people as she could within a certain time frame. I wanna say it was like 12 hours, and she hooked
I
up with
wanna say
5.
that was Berlin.
Was that Berlin?
Yeah,
Am I tripping?
that wasn't India.
Oh my god, okay, well, let's get to it then, because that's the one I
Okay,
wanna talk about
but
now.
we're not to Berlin. Next, the,
Dang it.
3rd one was Beirut.
Oh my gosh,
So
okay.
we're gonna go to Lebanon. Um,
Oh, yeah.
and
We're talking
that
about the
one
Arab
was
world.
yeah, so now we're getting into, um and Beirut is fairly progressive compared to other parts of the Middle East. Like, they don't
Mhm,
force women to veil, and, but you still have this sort of obsession with virginity. So she was
mhm,
Christiane is talking to a woman, a doctor who helps women repair their virginity. So she kinda builds them another hymen so that they're able to be acceptable to, their new families, because there's this, and the fact too that they were talking about how liberalism lost to religion, because it used to be even more progressive in the past, but then, they kind of had this revolution and the religious order took over, and so now, um I think that was because I said, like, I was going through a divorce when I originally watched it when this came out, and when they were interviewing that woman whose husband divorced her, and they were talking about what the divorce laws are like for, under Sharia law, which is basically men can do whatever they want and women just kinda have to take it. And the fact that this woman could only see her son once a week.
once a week on Fridays, man, till Saturday. Like, that shit was nuts.
Yeah,
That
that was
made me a little like, I was like,
and
"Okay."
that's what kinda got me through I was like, "Okay, as crazy as this is with this divorce, at least I'm not going through that because I would lose my mind."
Yeah.
Like, and the fact too that he's only doing that to punish her. It's not like he wants to spend that much time with the child.
Well, and she was 18 when she got married, and he divorced her within 2 years, and then she had their
Yeah,
son, and it's like, after a boy turns 2 there,
three.
the boys till 2, I thought, and then, girls
I
till
thought it was
7.
oh, maybe. Oh, yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I'll go with you
But
with 8.
somewhere in there, regardless, 2 or 3, I mean, like, shit, that's
And
still
what
very
she said
early.
too was it wasn't just Muslim women. She said Jewish, Christian,
Always. Oh,
Muslim
yes,
women, 0
yes.
rights.
It's
in the courts. So I remember thinking like, okay, as crazy as my situation is, it's not, at least it's not this bad. Like it can always get worse. So
that's
I every
crazy.
night like I could like look at my kids sleeping and
Amen.
just be like, you know what, with everything that I lost, at least I have what matters.
Yeah. And what was
And
crazy too, like, I mean, it's yeah, like, I mean, for me, when sex is so taboo and when you don't have that outlet for it and it's so stifled by the sort of family dynamics or social dynamics and stuff like that, it's like you have to it's like a code switching situation, right? Like you have to create this facade, like, nobody gets to be genuine, you know what I mean,
yeah,
there. And I liked how they talked about there how women because of the environment, so, like, you're talking about how, like, you didn't have to worry about sort of, I mean, maybe there was, like, a, "Okay, I might not be safe" situation, but it wasn't, like, on this scale. And these people, I mean, like, you're talking about you're very close to Syria, like, the war is rampant in this part of the world at all times, and how they are always like, "This could be my last day here." I think this was kinda like the thing that made me feel like, wow, that's super dope that they could tap into this, like, in the midst of just, like, a war-torn country, these people she was like, even when, like, bombs were hitting and they were shelling and shit like that, the nightlife here is robust, you understand me? Because what we're gonna do is look motherfucking good, like, the women there, they're like, "Guess what I'm about to do? Get my hair did, because
every
today could be the
day.
last day."
Every
Because
day.
guess
She's like,
what?
"I start my day with light and love and positivity, and tonight when I go to the club, I'm gonna fuck like the plane's going down."
Yo.
So,
And I'm not
yeah.
mad at her. I'm just saying, like, because I mean, that's real, right? Like, I mean, again,
Yeah.
like we're always looking, the human spirit is looking for goodness. You know what I'm saying? For the we want to connect, we want to do that. And so I was like, that's pretty dope because to me, it's like I never even thought to think about like how are people having sex? Like how are people really having, like in the middle of a war-torn country. So I thought that was a really interesting sort of
Perspective for
ask
real, yeah.
100% because I
And I
mean,
like
like
that she brought up the fact that there's, sort of a similar cultural like, because we know about the Kama Sutra in, like, the Indian tradition, but, like, in the Arab world, they had something similar, which was the perfumed garden of sensual delight. So
yes.
we are gonna talk about a book a little bit because 'cause I've actually read this.
Have you really?
Yeah, I've actually read part of the Kama Sutra too. Everyone's always concerned about the illustrations, like, there were words. So, like,
Oh,
you can
yeah. I forgot about that.
'cause I remember one of the big things I took from it was, like, they really give practical advice on, like, how to reconcile after you fight, how to
Mm.
make your lover comfortable without just, like, concentrating on their genitals, like, it's really important to concentrate on the other parts of their body,
What
like,
other parts?
it's their feet. Like, there's a whole thing on, like, how you can really bring enjoyment and relaxation to your partner by concentrating on their like, there's all these it was very interesting, and also too, the perfume garden, it was, it's something they try to keep suppressed because it gives the right of sensual pleasure to women as well, not just men, and
Yes,
that kind of
exactly.
pushes up against sort of the modern
Mm,
interpretation of a lot of what Islam is now, but back then, it was like, no, like, the man and the woman are both owed pleasure in
amen.
the act of coupling, and actually, there are instructions in there too on how to give an abortion. There's very funny stories, like, I remember, like, being really tickled reading it because it was kind of like stories of people trying to get over on people having sex, and
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
"Oh, so this has been going on for a while because it's
For a
very
long
old. I
time, long, long time.
can't remember when it was written. I wonder if I have that, but, yeah, it's, centuries old,
Yeah,
you know?
man. Definitely.
So,
I liked how progressive like, I wouldn't have thought that Beirut was as progressive as it is, you know what I mean? Like, we just don't get that information. We don't get to learn about those places, and a lot of times you have to take it upon yourself to sort of read up on it. Because I really liked because the woman who was talking about, I think, the perfumed garden, she was a journalist and
mhm.
had her own magazine, and a lot of what she covered in her magazine had to do with, like, underage girls and kind of like a meditation on, like, what the fuck are we doing as a society? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is happening here? Let me just put this all out here. Let's open up the table. Let's have this conversation. And probably not surprisingly, she's met with death threats and acid threats, which is a thing where they throw acid on folks, rape threats. It's like,
I'm
trying to
just
start this
talking. These are just
conversation.
words. I'm not
But this is
saying
how dangerous information is, y'all. Like, this is
and
damn near
sexual,
like
especially
this
about
is
sexuality.
and especially sexuality, especially around women too. We always joke and say we're the reason why they the powers that be, the colonial powers that come through and eradicate all of these texts and rip people away from their culture and some of that
AKA
stuff
mean white people, not the
mean
nice white people who
obvious.
listen to our podcast, but
Yeah,
the
they
mean
know that.
ones.
They know that. Not
Yeah,
people who happen to
I'm
be
just
white.
yeah.
Thank you for that because yes, indeed. But just I mean when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about in the context of the Victorian era when their influence, European influence
Yeah.
came over, these cultures and
Because
really
it's
kind of
about
colored it
subjugation. Yes, because the whole
about
point of
subjugation.
not letting people have an important part of the human life is subjugation. To
Yeah.
be like, "No, this is bad. This is dirty."
It's like,
And
don't you see?
it's like it's only dirty if you don't wash beforehand. Just
Right. Because if I'm telling you that there was a book in the 15th century, you know what I'm saying? Like in that context where it talked about equal access for sexual pleasure for men and women compared to how it is now. Like, how are we going backwards? Like, I just feel like, how are we going backwards on stuff like this? And it's like religion and like sort of these, I don't know, social constructs limit us or make us, I mean, it's repressive. And it I don't know if that makes things better. It seems like it makes things worse when sexuality is repressed in a culture.
I think so
I'm
because
just
it's not
saying.
being real. Like we're
It's
not
not
engaging
real.
reality.
We're not engaging
We're
reality.
yeah, and that always leads to harm. So
It
I'm gonna
does.
say
Okay.
goodbye to Beirut now.
Okay,
If
bye.
you're all done with Beirut, okay. So
I
now we're
am.
gonna hop on over to Berlin. And that's when we had the girls who would meet up with Tinder dates
Okay,
and
that was the
record
Tinder
it.
porn. I'm sorry. I was excited to talk about that
Yes,
because I was
yes.
like, "They're wild."
They were wilding. Yes, very much
Wowzers.
so. Because I was honestly just thinking about, like, wouldn't you get sore?
I mean, probably. Maybe there's something for that I don't know about.
Okay.
But yeah, it seems like because she in 12 hours, she managed to have sex with 5 different people. And that's not my goal, you know what I'm saying? But, like,
No.
honestly,
She
if
seemed to
that's
have
your
fun with it,
goal,
though.
I mean, literally seemed to be getting her life. And if that's what got you going, sister, who
And
am
the
I to
people
fucking
agreed
comment?
to, because I didn't remember when I watched this before and I was coming back to it, I was like, "Wow, that's crazy unethical to, like, record yourself having sex with someone and then posting it." But
Mm.
she said that she does get consent from the people she's
After.
recording. But even after, it's like, "You still recorded me, though, without me knowing."
It was
Like,
mostly men, though.
that doesn't make it okay, like, it's still a violation.
Well, I'm not saying it's not, but here's the thing, it would never come out and nobody would know. And it is. No, you're right. Let me
Yeah, like,
stop. It's
recording
messed up. You
sex
shouldn't
acts with
record anybody without them knowing.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying
Even
that
if you're saying like, "Oh, I'm not gonna release it unless you give consent." It's like, "Well,
but why do you I don't want you to have a tape of it.
why couldn't we get consent before we record
Yeah,
it?"
that's the better way to do it.
Yeah.
I guess in my mind because, prejudice and you're just, like, automatically assuming. Because I was thinking to myself, like, "Well, they're guys, so maybe they think they look super sweet." They're
I
assuming
don't
they were nailing it, you know
know.
what I'm saying?
I
And so
don't
it's
know.
like,
Men, let us know. Would you be okay with
I
that?
don't
Or you
know.
just been like, "Hey, I got the pussy and didn't really have to put a lot of effort into it, so I
Right,
guess, like, it's win-win."
yeah, so yeah, definitely let us know. I don't know, I just figured, like, he was like, "Shit, I mean, cool. I'm a
Yeah.
superstar in this bitch." That was super crazy to me. Also, get your life, sis. But also, the next thing after that, they kinda talked about I mean, so, like, overall, doesn't it seem like Berlin, Germany seems very casual and relaxed about sex overall?
Yeah.
Because
It was what
it
I
didn't
expected from, like, a Western European country. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
for
that's
sure.
what I would expect for the most part. Because then they were, did they have the BDSM or was that was Delhi. I'm
That was
getting that
deli.
next
Yeah, we didn't even get into that, but that was dope
Yeah, but
too.
I
That
I
can be
do
a
wanna
Patreon
say
episode. We can get into
shout
that.
out to the BDSM community because they were way ahead on issues of consent, and they were
Yes, they
seen as, like,
were.
the freaky weirdos, but it turns out they were actually far more ethical than mainstream society
And you know
because
what? Shout out to Wheezy and Mandy though, because they have that podcast,
Yay,
Horrible
whores!
Decisions. Yeah, I mean, they talk about like a lot of these it's stuff that's not necessarily mainstream. Like if you're a vanilla bitch from the Midwest like myself. I mean, I've
Woohoo!
heard of, BDSM and stuff like that, but also they highlight the fact that like a lot of the time, if you're a sex worker, you're more likely to get tested regularly for STDs. You're more likely to, be involved in situations where you're trying to get explicit consent, like these groups and stuff like that. Like that's a very important part of that kind of sexual culture. And
And
so
not being drunk, like, that was one of the
and
big
being
rules in
sober.
BDSM, like, you have to be
Yes.
sober because you can't give
Yes.
consent if you're inebriated. So they've always had
On that.
these rules, and they enforce them,
Yeah.
like, and they were just seen as crazy, but maybe not so crazy.
Not so crazy. So, yeah,
Not so crazy
I
after
thought that was
all.
pretty
So
cool.
I thought that what really stood out and what was kind of interesting because we had already sort of been in the Middle East, not in Afghan, but they were talking to some refugees from Afghanistan who were in Berlin, and we're just kind of she was asking them about Christiane Amanpour was asking them about, their sexual life and habits. And what was interesting is because she had to have a translator there who was also an immigrant who was living in Berlin and was from, I want to say, was it Syria? I can't remember
I
exactly where
don't
she was
know, but she
from.
was beautiful, and she was like an
Yeah, she was
ambassador
stunning.
of she was like a
Yes.
model and
And she was
yeah,
acting as her translator, and it got tense a little bit because she's asking this woman who's I look like a mother of 3 who's staying in this refugee camp and is pregnant again. So she's like, "Wow, so you're actually, finding time to have intimacy still."
you're getting bust down
And she's
still.
like, asking her, but she asked her this question that kind of like brought everything to a standstill because she's like, "Has anyone told you that you have the right to be loved and to seek happiness and as your own person?" And she just kind of got quiet because it's like the answer is no. like
It's like, you know
like the
good and
answer,
damn well, don't
like,
nobody give a
and
shit.
her the I can't remember, I really feel bad for not remembering the woman's name, but the model, she was like, "This is a very dangerous question
Mhm.
to, ask." Like she's already in this situation. You remember like when we were reading the sexy part of the Bible and Cola Booth when she was messing with that one guy and like his first wife was kind of like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm a Muslim woman in Africa with 6 kids. Like, what's the move?
I'm out here.
Y- You know what I mean? Like, this is the role I got to play right now.
Yeah,
So,
because if I'm
no, my
divorced,
personal
I'm way
fulfillment,
more vulnerable. Like, I think a
I
lot
can't
of the
even get a divorce.
time
That's the other thing, too. Women
that part.
can't just ask for a divorce in those societies. Like,
Nope.
men can and get them.
Right.
You can get a divorce without even telling her about it. She can just find out about it through the mail.
And then take your kids and leave, and you're just
And
there like,
no, and
"Okay."
you're just stuck.
Mhm.
So, that part, like, kinda shook me a little bit because 'cause I'm like, "Ooh," because she was still really young. She's still this young, beautiful woman who, and it looked like
Mhm.
her husband he seemed, like, cool and everything, but she just I feel like that message does not get out to people enough that you, in yourself, have the right to seek happiness on your own terms. You don't have to. I mean, I guess that sounds pretty simple, but you don't get that message a lot. Like I said,
No,
like
you don't.
it's a performance for society.
All
Like
of
you
it.
do this, you do this, you do this. And it's like, has anyone ever told you you have the right to be happy? You
Right, and it's
do.
like, "Bitch, no. Not no."
Congratulations.
It's like, "Actually, I don't, because I could be murdered." You know what I'm saying? If I pursue my own goodness, it's like, "No." So,
And they
I
didn't even she didn't even address this, but I know it had to be going on in some of these places about the clitorectomies. To me, it doesn't get brought up enough, the fact
God,
that
Kat,
they be slicing girls' clits
you
off.
just love bringing that up.
I
Okay,
love bringing it up because it just keeps happening. What I would love is for it to stop happening.
same.
That's what I would love because to me, that just sends such a strong message. Like, what other message is there behind cutting a woman's clit off?
I don't
Other
know, though. I don't know. That's just it to me, it feels like the ultimate because not only do you control me, it's like it's so it's so dehumanizing. Like I just feel like the position that a lot of women find themselves in is super dehumanizing because again, like you're being reduced down to just a role. Like you're an accessory. It's almost like I just need a wife to show that, like, okay, I have to have kids because that validates me as a man, kind of. It validates you as a woman because you're fertile or whatever. And then you get to be the homemaker. And then whatever I do is what I do. You know what I'm saying? And I get to do that with impunity. And it's like that sort of unchecked power, that power imbalance in these social structures is just, it's super dangerous because it lends itself to just I mean, like, you can take somebody out. Like, you can take somebody's whole life out because it and, like, to your point, when you were talking about that awkward conversation, that girl was like, "I have everything that every girl wants." You know what I mean? Like, I have a husband, I have kids, like and she's just looking around like you could tell there's this emptiness in it because they're telling you, "This is what you're supposed to want. This is what's supposed to make you whole. This is what's supposed to make you I mean, not even happy, they're not even having that conversation. This is your duty to your culture. This is your duty to your fucking family, your husband, your kids. Like, you have to like, you have to sacrifice yourself. Like, there's no self-actualization in any of these scenarios, and that was, like, the through line to me.
That's
Um,
been a real big theme on
Huge.
House of the Dragon,
Yeah,
the new Game of Thrones spinoff. That's a
yeah, it
big yeah, because it's this whole idea of, like, marry these girls off young, get them breeding, and then you got them.
and do it before they have any thought that there's something wrong with that, and do it
Right.
before they have any education in front of them to teach them anything different.
Yeah.
Like, that was the other part too because, well, so the one thing I wanted to mention too, again, which was I felt like a through line was the Nazis burned down, like, there was, like, all this, during World War II, these museums and stuff like that, about sex and all this stuff, they took all that shit down. Hitler made it about procreation, blonde and blue eyes, that's all we're doing, and that mom culture sort of, like, grew, and
Mhm.
so you have
That's the
these
only
sort of
place to find value as a
that's
woman in that
that's
society.
it, and even though it's a pretty liberal, like, sexual sort of landscape, you still have that underlying it's interesting because even in these progressive societies, you still have this thread of like, traditionalism where it's like, your value is still wrapped up in if you're having kids, are you married, like stuff like that. Like there's still this kind of this
Alright.
message that you're getting underlined. So,
Yeah, big
that was
time.
super interesting.
Alright, well,
Yeah.
we still got 2 more countries to go, so let's, or no, we don't, just 1 more. Or no, 2
No,
more
we
because we
have
gotta go
2
to
more.
Beijing. Yeah, we gotta go to
No,
Beijing.
Shanghai, right?
It was Beijing.
I disagree.
Okay.
It was
Or maybe
Shanghai.
they went to both because China's a big place.
I'm about to listen, you're not about to
I'm sorry, I just wrote it's just in my notes, it's not law.
so is mine. I know.
So,
Well, go ahead and talk
we
about it. We were in
agree
China for
it's
sure.
China
We're in
for
the right
sure.
continent.
It's
Yeah.
somewhere in China for sure, and
Mhm.
they had these marriage markets, which I thought was really cute, and they
Cute?
also, um
All of that shit was
um,
whack, actually. I was like, "Please don't have my name on no fucking umbrella in the middle of the park with how much money I make, how much I weigh, how tall I am. Like, marry
and a
my
lot of times
daughter."
they don't even
The
know their
fuck?
parents are doing that,
No,
like,
that shit ain't
setting up
cute.
this stuff. Okay, you're right, it's not cute.
That
It
shit is
was
terrible.
kind of
Some
it but the
bullshit.
you know what was cute? The
No.
displays were visually cute, like because they were on umbrellas.
Sure. I like umbrellas.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
it was unique. Like, once again, they were bringing art to it. So, I was into that. They also had a bondage scene,
That was
which
fun.
was cool, very artistic.
Well,
Um,
because they can't do porn. Like, in a lot of Asian countries, like, porn is pixelated. You can't see genitalia
who does
like,
that
on
help?
film. So, there's a lot of photographers who will do it kinda artistically because there's a huge obviously, when you can't see dick and balls, you can't see areolas, you can't see like, you're gonna find a way to see it. So, nice try,
Yeah.
government. We worked around that one. You're welcome.
Yeah, and it's like, why are y'all so against sex? It's like, obviously, I mean, how did we get so many Chinese people?
Yo, we're
Obviously,
all
somebody was doing it. So, it's a bunch of y'all.
whole bunch
So, yeah.
doing it a
So,
lot.
I really enjoyed the Rainbow Chamber Singers. Like, that
They were
was, like,
cute.
That was cute. We could both agree that was
That was
super
cute. That was
cute,
cute. I like
and they
that.
were just singing about all the
Explain to them
societal
what it was. Yeah,
examples
like, and yeah.
or, societal pressures. And then, I really like Dr. Spice, who is trying to help because it was the same thing, like, there's everyone's trying to hook up, basically. So, she's trying to coach girls on how to date and how to
Mhm.
dress, and that was her whole thing. She was like she's Doctor I like how she said, she's like, "I'm not a good girl. I'm trying to get them to stop being good girls and be bad girls."
Amen.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'm into that." I really, really liked
Yeah.
her whole thing, but it was really sad because they referred to girls who are 27 and older as leftovers.
Ah!
And I was like, "It's giving Kevin Samuels."
Well, and
Like,
the guys are what are they, like, barren branches or some shit? They got their own
yeah,
little
bare
moniker too.
branches.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where it's just like, yeah, you are, how fulfilled you are. You didn't make another Chinese person, so you suck. And the not my this is just in general, obviously don't agree with that. Like if you just want to be a person and you don't want to reproduce. Oh, 'cause that was the lesbian couple too, where she tried being married to a man for a while and she was just like, "Nah, man, my family just has to accept this." And it took a couple years, but her mom did come around and that was
Almost 5.
yeah, oof.
4.5 years, she
But at
said.
least she came around.
Yeah, that's true.
That's gotta be hard though. I couldn't imagine
Well,
it
Jared
just my
Carmichael,
parents. Oh yeah,
we're gonna pick
Gerard.
Jesus every single time. Like, we're
Yeah.
not gonna pick our kids because
Oh. Okay, yeah. Did you have anything else about what did we decide was it Beijing or Shanghai?
it's Shanghai.
Shanghai.
Mhm.
Points to Moni.
Thank
I
you. It's
I think I
Shanghai.
wanted everything to start with a B.
That's
'Cause it was
okay.
like
Alliterations
Beirut,
are
Berlin,
fun.
Beijing, but, like, yeah, Shanghai, very metropolitan, very it looked very cool. I've
It
actually
did.
always wanted to visit China, so maybe one day.
You know what stood out to me was, like, the lack of physical touch. This was also sort of in Tokyo
Mm,
too, like, how
yeah.
kids don't get hugged or kissed or held by their parents.
Mm-mm.
And then so, like, the physical contact stuff is really hard. So you mentioned the love doctor lady who was kinda helping them date. Like, if
Dr.
you're over
Spice.
Dr. Spice was, like, trying to introduce them to, like, what dating is. Like, the words intimacy, like, that word means nothing in their society. Like, these are new concepts to them. Emotion, what's that? Like, that's not something they talk about, and I thought that was really crazy and how, like, you can pursue pleasure outside of, um, anything else, just in and of itself, like, that is your right as a person, and just
Yes.
how that is not
Strongly
a thing
agree.
there, you
You
know?
know what's funny to me? Because I do love studying different cultures around the world, and I remember when I was studying, like, French,
Mhm.
and I wanted to learn the French word for hug or hugging, and they were like, "They don't have a word for that, they don't do that." And I'm like, "What? They don't hug?" I'm like, that just
I
made me
love
so
those.
profoundly sad because it's like
Nah.
they like and she's like, "Well, there's a word for embrace, like, you can embrace someone, but, like, yeah, they don't greet each other with hugging, that'd be weird."
Yeah, they don't
And
touch each other. I mean, like, that's
yeah.
the not like
They
nobody does,
kiss,
but it's
like, you
not a
do
thing.
the kiss thing, like, they kiss
On the
cheeks, but
cheek.
they don't hug, and I'm like, hugging feels so good. I was hugging
Mm.
my mom today. Oh my
She's
god, I felt so much better afterwards.
Why is
Like,
that, like, the
just
best thing that can happen to you in your life? Is just to have your mom just, like, hold you and get those mom hands going where it be like, boom,
yes.
boom, and you be
I
like,
was
"Ooh,
hugging my daughter today, and, like, I went to let go, and she was like, "Mm-mm, not done." I'm
nope, I'm
like,
still here. I'm
a
still
little I was
receiving.
like, "Oh,
Thanks."
still going. Okay,
Yeah,
boom,
still
boom, boom."
receiving, thank you.
So, yeah,
Um,
that's a huge bummer.
I'm trying to
I
think
hope
what
they get more and more of that, and that's why we all need each other, like, because there's a lot of, I think, civilization, societal things we need to learn from China, and then I think there's stuff they need to learn from us, and I think
yeah,
hugging would be,
one.
one of those things,
Well, the
and
isolation part is really it hits me
yeah.
because it feels like people feel like now, especially with so much technology, that it's easier to get affection digitally. You know what I'm saying? Like, so whether this is chat rooms,
Instantly, yeah.
because they showed, like, this one young lady who
Oh, a
is
cam girl,
a
yeah,
cam girl, and, like, she made 300K.
last year, yeah, Doing
throwing up the
push-ups.
hearts and getting people to send her virtual stuff that she could like turn into money, and
Mhm.
she's able to monetize it. But then she talked about like, so she's super popular, but like also her personal life, she said, basically suffered
Diminished.
because she
Yeah.
just, she's spending all this time doing this thing, and it's
So it's
not
time for
like,
the real world.
that's what I'm saying, like that. And I think a lot of people lean into that because just like in Tokyo, they talked about the sex dolls and stuff and how people pay for like boyfriend experiences. So it feels like, you're performing this thing where it's like, okay, I have to marry because Chinese parents expect you to get married because they retire early. They live a long ass time. They're trying to take care of these grandkids and they're trying to get a return on their fucking investment. How about that?
Boy,
Because I did all the shit that my mom said I was supposed to do, and she did all the
it's
shit that
your
her mama said
turn.
she was supposed to do. And so you have to, because I need you to take care of me. Um, because that's our tradition. Like their tradition, it's like love is secondary to marriage, and they're two
Yeah.
totally and separate things.
Yeah.
And so your tradition is to like, you take care of your family. That's what comes first. And, you know, I don't know why we can't be in a space where we can't honor both. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why we make this
We
like
just
this
can't.
for
We just can't.
ourselves. It's
It's
not
too hard.
sustainable. Everybody's lonely
No.
and miserable though. They're miserable. The
That was
people
a
doing this
song
shit is
on Big Mouth.
miserable.
Remember I was talking about Big Mouth on
Mhm.
Netflix, the
Yes, I'm
cartoon? And
familiar.
they had a song at the end of season 1 called Life is a Fucked Up Mess.
Oh, did they now?
And it
Would you
was
like to
just
sing
kind of
it or
no, I won't sing it now. I don't
Patreon
wanna
maybe, or,
maybe
okay.
on Patreon, I'll sing
Okay.
Life is a
I
Fucked
love
Up
Cat
Mess.
singing. I love
But
it.
it's pretty
It's my
great.
fave.
Yeah, basically because everybody has to I ran into someone I, used to know years ago, and it's so funny how people just try to impress you. It's like it's not necessary. Like you being a person I haven't seen in a
Really?
while is enough.
Yeah, it's like,
Like
that's
I
cool. That
want
was a
to how
novelty in and of itself. You're good.
yeah, it's
Damn.
like you don't have to try to impress me with like whatever you think would impress. Who cares? I'm just I'm not impressive. You
Right,
don't
like,
need to
what do
impress
you
me.
for
Like
what? Because
it's
I mean, and then
fine.
I'm not invested, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I just hope you're happy. I hope you're
Yeah, are
doing the
you
shit that makes you,
cool?
yeah, like,
Yeah,
you're
you good?
healthy,
Yeah. You
life
got
is
still got the
good.
light in your eyes. Like I recognized you right away. You weren't unrecognizable. You've always been taking care of yourself. So yeah, do
Yeah,
you? Because
man.
sometimes that does happen where it's like, whoa, I did not recognize that person. Like they
That's
really
the thing.
changed.
That's
Yeah,
definitely
like
true.
that's what you don't want. But it's like, yeah, you're doing great. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Like I don't know.
Okay.
Impressing people's never been my jam. So like last but not least, we've got Ghana. And for me,
Akara.
Ghana Accra,
Which
capital
is
of
the capital, yes, of
yeah,
Ghana,
of
yeah.
Ghana. I'm sorry, I just wrote
'Cause
Ghana
I
in my
had to
notes.
know, 'cause I was like, "Akara? I thought it was Ghana," but I had to go back. I had to learn something. So j in
The
case you guys
learned.
didn't, yeah,
Yeah. Well,
learning,
that's what documentaries are for, learning.
learning.
And so I first thing I put in my notes about it was giving heavy honk for Jesus vibes.
Yo.
Do we get a strong agree for that one?
Let the church say, "Amen.
Amen.
Amen," and let the church
And he
say,
was up
yeah.
there preaching though.
He was going hard,
Yeah,
man.
it
He
started at
meant
like
it.
at a mega church. And I mean, and it's a black mega church because it's Africa. Everyone's black.
Uh-huh.
They're so black, they're not even black. They're like, this is just normal. We don't even have a word for it. It's just people.
No. We're just us.
So it was just us. And but one thing I found interesting was when they went to the beauty shop. I love a beauty shop.
Beauty shop
And
is,
she was discussing with the women about the side chick hierarchy.
oh, this
The
is fun. Ah.
you came alive. Do you want to describe that side chick hierarchy?
I mean, it was just, she was a girlfriend, which is at the bottom, and she was at the
Wait,
beauty shop.
who's this she?
She was, she don't have, I don't have the name and all this. Now,
Oh,
so I
how
watched
could
this
you
one
forget
first
the
without
name?
notes
I
because
wrote
let me tell you why. Because I
I wrote
watched that one first because I had to search for it on the
okay.
interweb because
Okay.
I had to sign up for the free thing
Discovery
to see
Plus.
all of them. Yeah, and that was like a
Mhm.
couple days ago. So I watched it
Okay.
and I was washing dishes when I watched it. So
When I
this is
say
the
the
one I don't have
name,
notes.
because I had
Say
to
it.
write it down as soon as I saw it 'cause her name was Moesha.
Oh shit, I didn't remember that. Mo to the E
E
to
to
the
the but Moesha was never this thick. Like,
no.
Moesha
Yeah.
was bringing it.
Yada 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 yada
Yeah,
yada.
and it was giving natural,
Yeah,
and because
definitely.
her
It was
yeah,
giving
and
motherland,
snatched.
okay?
It
Yeah.
was.
It was giving what
So
the girls are trying to get, okay?
yes, and she was giving, I'm trying to get elevated from girlfriend to mistress.
And hopefully wife one day.
And when they were breaking down the fact that, for one, if you want to be independent, you basically have to have a man supporting you, which is not independence, by the way.
Because you
And
need 2 years worth of rent
to
or
get an
whatever
apartment,
to get an
yeah,
apartment or house there, and most women don't have those sort of opportunities,
access
so
to that,
you have
yeah.
to have a man basically, which is some bullshit.
And it's a married man, which is it's both frowned upon and like not,
Well known
perfectly
and accepted.
acceptable. Yeah, because it's like, yeah, she's like, yeah, my boyfriend, he has a wife, but it's fine because she knows about me and I'm a loyal mistress, basically. So
'Cause
they
she
were
loves
giving
him.
the whole, yeah, she loves him.
Yeah.
And so basically, what it was giving is that it's perfectly fine for the men to have lots of women, but for the women, you have to remain faithful.
But
And I was
also,
like,
it's not
huh, that
all
sounds
men.
similar. Oh, not the poor ones. No, the poor
Thank you.
dudes,
Let's
you
talk
have
about
to
it.
be faithful.
Listen, that's a thing everywhere, is it not?
Yeah. What was that
Like,
guy's name? His name was Nice one.
I didn't take notes. Don't ask me any more questions
Okay.
about
It
specifics
was a
about
guy, he
this.
was like,
I
"No, I
don't
am
know.
faithful." Well, no, first, when Christy I was cracking up. When Christiane asked him, she's like, "So, are you faithful?" He was like, "Huh?"
Excuse me? What'd you say? Ha.
"Huh?
Ha.
Huh?
What did you
Huh?"
say?
It's
Yeah.
like he's like, "Oh, no, I cannot afford, I have to be faithful. The women,
I
they
just
don't
the
like broke
one.
men."
Yeah, just the one.
I'm sorry, forget that was not a good accent, but, like, yeah, you
No, it
get it.
wasn't.
He was just saying, like, yeah, like, the women, they don't like broke men, so I
Well,
have to.
because they're social because here's the thing. What am I gonna I can't make my own money. I have to be dependent on a man. So like why
Well,
would
you
I want
can
a broke
make your
man
own money, they're just not gonna give you enough to, as
to
much as
like
a man.
thrive, to thrive
Yeah, like, because
and to
women
be
can work there for sure. Oh, and that was a thing too, because, how now this is, I didn't take notes on her name, and
the
I've
lady
I've
who with the fish market lady.
no, no, this was the woman who had the, internet show in African City. That was kind of like
Oh,
the
the
Black
radio
Sex
show?
in the City. No, 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 that
Oh,
was Mama
that's the
Zumi.
TV. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
this one was like a web series called An African City. Cause yeah, that's where I, discovered it from this documentary, and I ended up watching it. It was really good. It was, like, very much
Really?
like a African Sex in the City.
Okay.
So, it was, like, giving fashion and sex, so but
Ooh,
with Black people.
I
So, it
like
was
it.
really, really fun to watch, and it was really funny because they played a clip of it, and once again, even though this is halfway around the world, and he was like, "Oh," he was like, she was like, "I need you to go down on me." And he was like, "No, African men don't do that. That's a Western thing." And she was like, "I don't care. It feels good. I want you to do it." And he was like, "No, African men don't do that." And she's like, "Well, what about when I go down on you?" He's like, "Well, that's different."
Yeah, it's like, it's just a little
It reminded me too of this bit Michael
come
Che did
on.
about how, like, it's different when women cheat on
I
men.
think we said this on the show.
Yeah, because
Yes.
he
It's
was
like, "It
like,
hurts
he's
my
like, "It
feelings."
hurts our feelings." And it's
And
like,
fuck you and your
dude.
feelings, sir. Like, okay.
Yeah, yeah, it hurts like, they really, I think men really do. I don't know, let us know, men, if you're listening. Does it hurt do you really think it hurts your feelings more getting cheated on than it
Everybody
hurts
thinks
our
their
feelings?
feelings are more than everybody else's feelings. That's the
Oh.
quintessential issue in life when it's like, bitch,
Oh.
we all have fucking feelings. Like at some point you have to get your ass off your shoulders and understand that like everybody has feelings in this bitch, and you're not the only one with feelings. So I don't want to hear from you men actually about whether or not you think that because I'm gonna
Sorry,
tell you
men,
right
keep that
now.
to yourselves.
It's some fucking bullshit if you think that's real life right now. Because
Yeah.
and then my question would be like, if it does, if you really do think that, I want you to really ask yourself the question, why that is though. Because I mean, if you don't come to the conclusion that it's your fucking ego, then I need you to read some books with us. We need to take you on some more trips around the world because at this point, I feel like you need to acknowledge that this
We'll
is an
throw you on
ego
a magic
thing.
school bus.
You feel entitled. You feel entitled, but also, and I'm not even blaming that on you all the way. We have socialized you to feel like it is your birthright. Okay? And there's a lot of women who will affirm that for you. And that's fine. If you can find her, you need to be with her, but also that's not real though.
And also, don't tell us we're more emotional then.
No, you're
Like, because
not. Bitch, first of
if we're
that's
supposed
not
to
true
be
cuz if I cheat
emotionally
on you, who
mature.
hurts more? Who cares more?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, they always paint it like women are just these emotional, and we are
Fuck
emotional,
out of
but we're
here.
all emotional. Like,
So
that's
are
the whole
you.
point is,
You
like,
have to hide it. And
well, and that's part of socialization as well. So, like, but if we're being honest, we all have all the emotions.
yes, we
We
do.
men and women are different, and we express them differently. But I think we can all agree it hurts our feelings getting cheated on. Like, no
It
one really likes
does.
that one.
No.
And
It just goes back to what I was saying is about me feeling like men and women just don't know how to talk to each other. At the end
oh
of the
god, no,
day,
no,
men are socialized not to talk about their feelings.
yeah,
And we have to pretend a lot. Like we have to pretend
yeah,
like the bare minimum of what we get in relationships is okay. And when it's not, because I'm just supposed to be grateful that you're here and that
yeah.
I got to squat out your babies and push them out my
I
uterus
mean, they
and
really do
maybe or
feel that way
I
because, I
mean,
mean, here's
I'm
the other thing,
here.
'cause they're like, "Oh, it's," there's all
Fuck
these
out of
women
here.
kinda rapping on their door and stuff, so you should be grateful that I'm even coming home to you every night or most every night.
Don't hurt yourself would be my, like, oh, can we get a T-shirt?
But it's like, if
Don't
I'm
hurt
doing
yourself.
the same thing and it's not like I'm not getting offers
Like
too,
like,
then why aren't
yeah.
we
But if you get an
acknowledging.
offer, you're a hoe,
Well, not that
whereas
I'm getting,
I'm the
well, if I
man.
take them up on it, I'm a hoe. Like, you're
No,
always
you're
getting
still getting
offers.
like, if they know that you're getting dick tossed your way, there's something you're
They
doing.
have to know that I'm
Shut
getting
up.
di
There's
men are
something you're
men.
doing. No,
No.
there's something you're doing. No, but so they will dilute themselves, I feel, in certain scenarios to make it seem like, well, what was you doing? What was you wearing? Where were you going? What did you say to him?
Sweats,
How did
nigga.
you know what I'm saying? How was you looking at him? Was your eyes open or closed? Like, bitch,
Was they having a club?
like I was just walking
And see,
by.
and that's how you get burkas.
That is how you get burkas.
That's how you get
Ego.
burkas.
The male
Yeah.
ego creates
Burka,
burkas for
yeah,
people. And
yeah.
my thing is again, like if you're wearing a burqa, I don't mean to be, I don't listen, this is not a disrespectful critique of any culture that does that. Like I get
I
it.
am. I
And
think that's I'm very disrespectful to people who make women wear burkas.
I mean the people who make it, but I'm just saying the women who've internalized that bull
Yeah.
excuse me, the women who have internalized that and feel like that brand of respectability politics in their culture is what makes them a woman, because we all, like, let's be honest, like we all internalize that shit. Like there's still parts of me that still internalizes what it means to be a woman. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And like
sure.
how I show up as a mom and a spouse and stuff. And so it's not so easy to disassociate yourself from it. So I don't want to be flippant about
Oh,
it in that
sure.
respect.
It's the same reason I
That's all
can't
I'm
walk
saying.
around topless.
Right.
Like,
We
I don't think there's anything wrong with being topless. Like, I really don't. I feel like
it's
that is a
cool.
very European, Eurocentric sort of thing where they went around the world and told
Right.
women, "Stop showing your titties, it's wrong." And
Right.
so now I can't even, like I said, when we've been out of the country and there's,
That's
like,
what I'm
nude beaches or topless
saying.
beaches, I can't do that.
It's
Like,
right,
I just can't.
and you
And
see
I'm
Christiane doing that in the documentary, I feel, because when they're turning around asking her those questions, or, like, when they were talking about, like, the sex acts carved into, like, a temple, she was like, "My mind is having a hard time. My British colonized mind of,
Yeah.
like, can't, like, I'm
Of
having a hard time with
propriety
it."
button down.
And, I mean, it just
Yeah.
it's crazy how that thought, that sort of like idea, or that brand of thinking, that Victorian sort of the way to paint things is just colored all over the fucking world. Like the through line for that for me took me out. I was like, wow, so
Yeah.
like the Victorian era
Colonialism.
took sex out just worldwide. Like that's kind of like what turned it.
And can we
And I
point out, like, the Victorian era is named after Queen Victoria, and, like, and it's because they were colonizing the world, and that was, like, really messed up, and why black people kinda really didn't care about Queen Elizabeth dying because
that I promise you that's what it made me think about. Like
good
this
riddance to
was
bad rubbish.
I mean, and my take on that is not like, I mean, I don't care if she's breathing or not. You know what I'm saying? Not like on a personal level. Like my day keeps going, just like the millions of people who die daily,
Mhm.
whose lives don't. You know what I mean? Like it's lumped in that pile. Like when I die tomorrow, there's, bitch, I don't nobody give a fuck, and even more so because of the history. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't like wishing her death, but I also am not like delusional about who she was in history. I'm not pinning all of colonialism on her, but bitch, you were there
Yeah, she
and you
wasn't
still
trying to
uphold it,
lessen
and
it.
there's
Yeah.
still nobody's gonna be
Did
renouncing
you
their
know
crown.
she was the head of the Anglican church?
I don't know what the Anglican church is.
It's the church King Henry started when he started like Protestant, like the
Oh, okay,
Protestant.
that's what it was
Yeah,
called.
like
Okay,
the
I
Church
did
of
know, I didn't know his
England.
name. Okay,
Yeah, is the
gotcha.
Anglican church, and like yeah, the monarchs
So
were
you
the
can get
head of.
divorced and all that
Yeah,
stuff,
Henry
and
VIII started that because he was
oh,
mad at
got
the Pope.
you.
So
Hope is
yeah,
he was a real bitch at that time, I'm sure.
yeah. Well, and I would
I
say
don't
even
know.
now, I'm not a big fan of popes as like popes in my. I'm gonna look up the real quote because I can't remember who said it,
What is
but
it?
let's say it was Rousseau. I don't know. It was in that time period, and he said humanity will never be free until the last king is strangled with the entrails of the last priest.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Not the entrails, though. Hold
Yeah.
up, I found it. It
Oh,
says
wow, you're very good.
thank you. That
Who
was
was it?
French philosopher, and man of letters, Denis Diderot? Di
Diderot.
Diderot,
Diderot.
okay,
I get
Diderot.
Diderot and Rousseau mixed up a lot. Okay,
Okay.
Diderot.
It says men yeah, you said it pretty good. It said men will never be free until the last king is strangled with the entrails of the last priest. You literally
Woo!
said it word to word.
No,
Ding.
I didn't. It would have been in French though.
Okay, bitch, I'm trying to give you points and here you are. You know what I'm saying? Subtract points for Kat for not saying it in French. Who expected that? The fact that you remembered it in English, I feel like you should still get points for,
Thank
but
you. Half points. You remember half points? Maybe half points.
okay, great. Point
Half
5.
points
Point
for
5 for Kat for knowing.
participation points.
Yeah, participation points.
I
Get
mean,
'em
I
up.
was good for some participation points. That was
I bet
always
you
easy
were.
points. I'm like, oh, points for talking. I'll
Raise
take
my
that.
hand. Okay.
I'll take that.
Oh my God.
So
Okay.
yeah, I think that was okay, that's all my notes. I did
Well,
it.
I want to talk just quickly
That's the whole
too.
world.
So colonialism really affected sort of like I felt like a lot of the people in Ghana felt like, yeah, they came over here and fucked that up for us. But
Oh,
there was that
yeah.
artist who was there was a and
Yes,
I
Voodoo
oh God.
Pussy.
Yeah, she had a song called Voodoo Pussy, but she definitely was more on like, let me get back to it's not voodoo. We talked a little bit about
ATRs,
this. ATRs, what's that?
African Traditional Religions.
Okay, ATRs. And we talked a little bit about that with Ebony the writer. If you guys are just not following us, she has her own podcast too, and she invited us on to talk to her. And we talked, well, actually,
What's
we were
good
talking
with
about
Ebony
P
Chappelle?
Valley. Yes, thank you. What's good with Ebony Chappelle? And we talked about P Valley, and there was a little bit of voodoo in there, which is like the originated
Here,
down in
you
New
glitched a
Orleans.
little. Say it again.
So we were talking to Ebony Chappelle about P Valley, and P
Mhm.
Valley kind of covered a little bit of voodoo, which is in the southern part of the United States, particularly in the New Orleans area. But it came from Africa, basically, which was she was kind of speaking to. Like we kind of got away from our original ATR, if you will, and she's just kind of embracing it, and she's kinda on the outskirts because what was fascinating to me was Ghana is a super Christian country. I would have never thought they mentioned even Mormons there,
Mhm.
and I mean, like, everywhere you go, there's churches, so everybody's super churchy and religious there, so for her to be an artist and being in a space where she's talking about, like, femininity and sexuality and all this stuff, I mean, obviously, it's frowned
And the
upon,
sexual abuse in the
and
Christian church, because
yo
she was pointing on that. Yeah, like tapping into that. Because
mhm,
once again, when you repress human desires and we see it, we associate it with the Catholic Church, but it happens. It's just
it's
it's on a
it's a
large
thing.
scale. Like
It
it's just a
is.
large so they get more attention, but it seems to happen on a micro level everywhere whenever you try to suppress human sexuality. It finds a way to burst through.
Yeah, and then it ends up being sort of perverted, I think, in a way, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because the natural
'Cause you're
intentions of
told
sex
it's
is not
bad, so you're
bad.
like, "Well, I have to do something bad if I'm like, let's do
Yeah,
it
it's like,
real bad."
no.
Instead of just being like, "You know what? This is,
I mean, and listen, we can kinda do it bad. We just have to talk about it. You can't just do it bad by yourself. You have to make sure I'm cool with
Right,
doing it bad too, like, that's what the
right.
BDSM thing kinda talks
Consent.
about, like, just make sure that, like, the other person's into it because understand that if I'm into it, yo,
Yo.
that's a plus for you.
Yeah.
The fuck?
If you're normal, though, not
Like, if you're
everybody's
normal, right, unless,
normal.
like, me fighting you is your thing, which is just, like,
Yeah.
get some help for that. But also, I think this is going to be a juicy Patreon content that we can
Yeah.
have because there's a lot of stuff that I didn't get to touch on that I wanna touch on.
Mhm.
So just what a conversation, what a documentary
Yeah.
series, what a journalist, what a fun trip around the world, friend. I mean, an
Yeah.
hour plus overtime, I'm sure, of content at this point, for that
I
ass.
loved it. So what would you rate this? Would you recommend this to people? And
Yeah,
who
I
do you think would enjoy
definitely
this?
would. I would recommend this to, just about anybody, but I think definitely if you're curious about the way men and women react, or even just same-sex couples, like people how people are and interact around the world. Because if you think maybe it'll be better somewhere else, because 'cause you're like, "Well, I'm here, and maybe if I was here, it would be like this for me." Because I think it's easy to romanticize being somewhere else sometimes, but also I
Yeah.
think there's a lot we can learn from other places. So, like, when you're in that position where you're just trying to get a full picture of just sexuality, relationships, love. It's a very introspective and interesting sort of point of view. So I recommend it to everybody. And if I had to rate it, I'd probably give it um I don't know. I just feel like we need to give it orgasms right now. Like I'm giving
Oh.
it, yeah, like I just feel like,
Oh, I said, "Oh," that's funny. The big
oh,
O, giving her my O
yeah, you have to
face.
give it a oh.
Oh,
I
oh.
give it 5 O's. 5 big O's.
5 O's. Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
I'll go ahead and give it 5 eggplant emojis.
Let's go.
5 out of 5.
Yeah, I give it a 5. I mean, it was, I don't know how much time it took her to come up with this, but just the idea of it was fascinating. And it just gives you a glimpse into your own humanity through the eyes of other cultures, which I always find fascinating. So
Yeah,
I learned a lot. It was very, yeah, it was entertaining and informative. So
love it.
shout out to you for that lovely documentary. Um, yeah, that was fun. That was definitely very, very fun. So friend, do we
Oh,
do the Stranger Than Fiction, or do you wanna take a break and come back and do
yeah,
that?
let's do a break. Let's
Okay,
take
so
a
we gotta
little
catch our
break
breath.
here.
Are you ready to take a
Yeah,
break?
I am. I
Okay,
am.
let's take
Alright,
a
let's
break
go
then.
for it.
Alright. Alright, guys, welcome back from the break. Oh, man, that was fantastic.
Yeah, that was a nice little reset.
I had to take a deep breath,
Yeah.
man, because there was just so much I wanted to talk about. The fact that I've been talking for this long and still wanna talk is a testament to why I need this.
It was a world of
Definitely.
information,
It
but it did
was.
make me feel thankful for my place in the world, like, being
Mhm.
able to see
Mhm.
myself in the world, not just in my little patch of dirt that I was raised on, but the fact that it's like, wow, I do have a tremendous amount of privilege, but I want more.
Listen,
So
I want more.
oh, let's not go there. I could talk about that for a
Okay,
while
okay,
too.
okay.
But, yeah, let's talk about what we're gonna talk about next.
Friend, what are we gonna talk about next? Should we just go ahead and talk
Yeah,
about
let's let
the
the wheel
Stranger Than
decide for
Fiction?
us.
Whoa, 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 we gotta do
Oh,
Stranger Than Fiction first,
you're
friend. Nice
absolutely
try.
correct.
Alright, guys. I like it.
I
Okay,
like it
Stranger Than
too.
Fiction, you guys. Oh my gosh, friend. So we kinda touched on this last week. I ended up giving you guys a crazy story. Um, which I promise you guys, I need to have my husband do the story with me because he makes it funnier. But also, we were gonna talk about uh Salman Rushdie,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna let Kat take this Stranger Than Fiction. So go ahead and share the story with our listeners real quick.
Okay, so Salman Rushdie. So we're gonna be going into Banned Book Week next week,
Let's talk about who he is though, because I
oh,
don't
okay.
assume.
So yes, he is a Indian British writer. He's written The Satanic Verses, Midnight's Children. He was married to Padma Lakshmi.
Mm.
Like, yeah, he's a very interesting individual. He was also his story was featured on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes, we talked
Which is
about
what a
this.
lot of people, yeah, I think we spoke about this with Eric Dizzy
Shout out
on
Eric
Ignorant,
Dizzy.
yeah, when he was on our show. And it was um
The
basically he had a
fatwa.
fatwa put on him because of his work, The Satanic Verses, which is fiction, but people were really outraged about it because they felt it disparaged the Prophet Muhammad. And it's just because the Satanic Verses was a phenomenon because there were some things that were originally in the Quran that the Prophet Muhammad took out because he said that that wasn't Allah talking to him, that was actually Satan, because there was actually some stuff that was going to bring in some equality for women, because
Satan.
yeah, that was because when he was
So sneaky.
getting steamrolling in Mecca, Mecca was a pilgrimage area for a lot of different religions, and there was this triple goddess figure that they wanted to bring in as Allah's wife. And later on, and he was going to introduce that because
Oh
he was
gosh.
doing a partnership deal with the people who were in power. And then he went back and was like, no, I think I have enough followers where it can just be me, so we're going to get rid of that entirely. So he said that was the Satanic Verses, and that's a little bit, trust, I did not finish that novel. It was very difficult to read. I
I
started it.
roll. Well, and it sounds a lot like the Bible, where we take out verses and books and chapters that we are like, yeah, I don't know, this isn't oppressive enough.
Yeah.
I digress. Let's just keep it moving. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like, it
keep it
just feels like a
moving.
striking similarity there.
Yeah, so basically he had this, so he had to live in hiding. Salman Rushdie had to live in hiding for years because he wrote this book and people got mad about it and decided to kill him for writing it.
Well, and pause, because that's what fatwa is. In Islam,
Yes.
it's like a formal ruling where it's like, yeah,
You
um,
insulted the prophet or Islam, and so we get to kill you for that.
yes.
And so the he was in hiding for years, but in the past couple years he's been out of hiding. Thought he was like, you know what, it's cooled off enough, I can come back out. No, he was giving a speech and someone rushed the stage and started stabbing him in the neck. So he survived the attack. This was someone who's still mad about, and he even admitted he'd only read 2 pages of the Satanic Verses. Like he didn't even read the whole thing. But once again, because some imam put a battery in his back, he was like, I'm going to get my free entrance to heaven by killing this guy who insulted the prophet.
And my
And
version too
so
when I get there, and I'm about to bust them all
Y
down.
you know what's funny though? That might be a mistranslation. Instead of 72 virgins, it might be is it 72? It was like 52 something.
Like, you cannot hit me with
I can't remember what the exact amount of virgins you get, but it might be a
it's a lot.
mistranslation. It might have
It's a lot of
been,
virgins.
grapes or raisins. Like, it's weird when you're
What if it was raisins? I would be pissed if I got to heaven and did
well,
everything and was
and
like,
also too, are they
here's
perpetual
72.
virgins? Because after you like, they're not virgins anymore, and then that seems like a lot. And also too, like, not for nothing, virgins aren't that fun to have sex with.
I was just getting ready to say, please don't hit me with a virgin. I don't want that. Like, leave me alone.
So, yeah, that to me, that was
72. Because I
to
just
me
Googled how many virgins do you get
70,
in
it was
heaven?
72? Okay.
72, guys. A reward in heaven for the people is 72. So you're welcome.
So, it's maybe virgins or raisins, we'll see.
Mm.
And so,
Please.
um, yeah, it's just, once again, this is all so bizarre.
I need this to be a cartoon.
I
I want to
mean,
see
no,
somebody going to
no,
heaven
no Muhammad
with a
cartoons.
box of
Don't
raisins.
don't you
I'm
listen, I'm
sorry.
trying to live. No, we're not doing
I'm
any
not doing it. I'm just okay, fine. I'll picture it in my mind.
there. Yeah, keep it there.
Don't you do art? Look, you're like, I'm not
No,
trying to get
no,
stabbed in my neck.
no. I
But this
sure
is
don't.
also why we say, like, this is dangerous, right? Like,
Yeah.
reading, getting information, really being informed, like, that
Mhm.
people
There's a
people are
reason it was illegal.
threatened. Yeah, man, like,
And
people
in
are in
some
this
places still
situation.
illegal. A lot of places they really, that was why Malala got fucked up trying to go to school.
Who's Malala?
Come on, the Afghan girl who got shot in the face.
Oh, yes. I didn't know her name. I knew there was an Afghan girl that got shot in her face.
The
Don't do
name of
me
the
like
book
that. I
is
don't know shit
called
of
He
anything.
Made Me Malala.
Okay, I never read that.
My name is Malala. She's
I've
fantastic.
seen her on, some talk shows and stuff. Who was she interviewing? She's
phenomenal,
Amazing. Yeah, like,
fantastic
let me talk like
communicator.
she yes,
Yeah,
but way
she's
better than me. Hello.
yes, but once again, the reason the Taliban shot her in the face was because she was being all uppity and trying to get an education,
Bitch.
and good for good on her, because yeah, and once again, much like a rapper, being shot did not stop her from talking her ish.
No, she didn't.
So
And
I'm
man, cause she basically was like, "I'll die behind this shit." Like,
yeah,
all
like,
that
and I mean for real, like
low key, I
really.
will die behind this
I'm not
shit.
trying to
Like,
do PERDA. What are you talking about?
I'm
Like
not doing that.
I'm trying to live.
Yeah,
Like
man.
I'm out here trying to just live.
I'm glad you
And
said that, and I think that's a fantastic way to probably I mean, not to, like, cut you off and end
yeah,
this,
let's
but
do
we've
it.
been talking a long time, so Stranger
Sure.
Than Fiction.
Yeah.
Try it again. Oh,
Great.
I was still dancing. Okay. Yeah.
Um,
So,
yeah,
yes,
that was weird. People for talking or writing. Like just write something in you fight bad ideas with better ideas. So even if you think it's a bad idea for somebody to say something, don't kill or hit them. I think that's the
you can't even hit him?
I don't think so. Like, I don't think that's the right response. Like, if someone hits you, you can hit them.
Fine, whatever.
But
You
if
know
someone
what?
hurts your feelings with words,
That's true.
I don't
You
think you
shouldn't, but
should.
also see, I be on the line with this one. I be
Okay,
on the
fair, fair. Let's
line
hear
with
it.
this one,
Let's talk it
okay?
out.
Because I be feeling like, okay,
You be feeling like,
I be feeling like, you know what I'm saying? I guess I feel like I understand. I guess because I can tap into that feeling a little bit. Um, because when you think about like, so think about um kids that get bullied or something like that. Like, I'm not saying shoot up the place. I'm just saying like sometimes like just meet this motherfucker after school. Punch the bitch in the face. Y'all might be friends after that. Like sometimes when you get that physical aggression out, like
sure,
it could sort of solve things, or at least you can be in a place where you can move past it because that you've
clear the air.
dispersed that energy. Yeah. But I think when it's like it just builds up and then it's like now I'm shooting everybody. Like that's a problem. But I mean physical altercations do happen. Are they the most evolved expression of human interaction? No. But also sometimes when you talk slick shit, you get punched in your fucking face. Like that's a reality of life. And so do I think that's cool? No. Should we strive not to do that? No. Does it happen? Yeah,
I mean, we do take that chance in life
we
now,
do.
which is why
So
I really,
understand, you take that chance. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, which is why I'm just gonna safely, talk this stuff in my closet and
All
please
right, with my
don't
don't hit
murder
me.
me. Like
Yeah,
I
murders are
like
bad.
hearing different opinions and perspectives.
Yeah,
And even though like I get fired up, like,
I see you.
it, I
I like it.
I will, especially when it comes to issues of women and young girls being like we'll have to address some of the because there's so much stuff we didn't
This is
touch
Patreon. We
on
can't. I know. You
Patreon.
see, listen.
But yeah, I would just say don't hands are not for
I
hitting.
agree. You shouldn't. And I'm just saying that, like, again, like, our collective consciousness has not evolved to the point where that's a thing, and hopefully, at some point, it can be that way. Because I can even say on a
Yeah,
personal level, I'm not to that level, because I
it's
might
okay.
hit you.
And it hurts when Moni hits
I'm
you.
sorry. I just might. I don't you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get away from it. I stopped, like never mind, this is a Patreon
Just
episode. You
don't
guys,
yeah,
be better
but
than
I
me and
mean,
don't hit people.
yeah, and
Yeah.
especially not for people who write books. Like,
Yeah,
just
not for
read a
that.
different book. There's so many other books. Like, don't even give them that, like, attention. I would always say
I
too,
agree.
like, that person doesn't even deserve a death at my hands. Like, you don't yeah, you haven't even earned that. All you did was just write something I didn't like. You know how many
Right,
people
and I
write
can
stuff
just
I
move
don't like?
on.
I don't kill them.
That part.
Like, it's
There's
just
so
like,
many tears. There's
oh.
so much art that's not for you. That I mean, art is,
Yeah. What if
you know
well, he's already dead, but, like, the
Ooh,
guy who wrote Milk in My Coffee,
stop.
like
Stop it right there. Dion, she's dragging your
He didn't
friend.
write I mean,
No, I'm just saying, like, she's
yeah.
dragging your friend. You need to come on here and defend his honor.
I'm not even sa I'm just saying I'm making the point that even though I didn't like it, I don't think anyone deserves to die over it, and I
Duh.
found it offensive.
But here's the thing, the reason why they're willing to kill you is because it's in direct opposition to the power that they can have or they think they can have. Like, you think they're thinking like, what are you being blocked from if Milk and My Coffee wasn't published or was published? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you can still go about your life. I mean,
Books
these
are so
people feel
avoidable.
I agree. I'm just saying, like, in the mind of an insane person who doesn't really read, like, you read the first 2 pages and was like, "I'm incensed." You know? And it's like, well, I mean, it was like me actually last week, low key, on a smaller level, rating the episode. I had no fucking business
Oh,
even
talking about
speaking
Honk for
on
Jesus.
you shouldn't
Yeah.
even really speak on, like, if I didn't take it in all the way, I coulda just been like, "Here's what I thought about it. Let me just talk to you about what you thought and talk about those ideas," as opposed to judging the actual piece of art. Like, that's some dumb shit. And here's the thing, I can say that. I'm okay with saying like, "Yeah, that was not cute or fun or whatever." That's fine. But I just think most people are like, you are already buying into this idea, so you're just sort of like hitching your tail to that wagon and being like, "Yeah, that's me too." And I'm mad. I'm mad.
I'm angry.
I'm a
I'm angry.
philosophy.
All right. Well, yeah, this has
Long
gone on
road of life,
long.
friend.
It's like, don't look in my closet. Okay.
Super long, you
Sorry.
guys. I
That's what
think we
she
should
said.
end it here. Oh my god. I mean, it is about sex and love and okay. But yeah, so you guys, we're gonna wrap this shit up. And if you want to hear more about this conversation, we'll have the extended extra stuff on Patreon. You guys, be looking out for that. If you have ideas for us for Stranger Than Fiction, I mean, they can be stories that happen to you. It can be books, it can be whatever, any form of media. You guys shout us out, hit us up. Thefabpodcast at gmail.com. Also, you guys can find us on Instagram at the Fab Podcast. You can find us if you want to see us, go to our I'm about to say Facebook. God, I'm tired. What
Go
is
to
it?
our YouTube.
YouTube, Facebook,
Yeah,
all
go to
the
our
things. Damn it.
YouTube.
Our link
Yeah.
tree is in the bio. Just click on that shit. It'll take
Yeah,
you to
like we're
everything.
everywhere. We're
We're everywhere you
official.
want to be.
And thank you, Brother Tonight, for commenting.
I know,
We
friend.
really appreciate yeah, keep that going. And everyone, like,
Yes,
reach
thank
out
you.
to us. It feels good when you comment.
People want to be seen. We just talked about this whole fucking episode. People want a connection. People
Yeah.
are lonely. People want. I mean, we're just reach out. It feels nice. Thank you.
Yeah, it feels nice. And
Thank
like
you,
I
friend.
said before, every time you comment, your penis gets a little bit bigger.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Kat knows things, so perhaps she knows that, guys.
I mean, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Let's find out.
Right. So you only way to find out is to do
Only
it.
way to find out.
So there's that.
So give it a try.
Friend, this was
Who knows?
therapeutic. I needed
It
this
was.
today. I
It was
appreciate
great.
you. Thank
I did
you.
too. But do you wanna
And
find out what we're talking about next time?
yeah, let's spin the wheel. Biatch.
Yeah.
So it came up in the episode. You guys, we are gonna dedicate our next episode to Banned Book Week.
Band.
Oh, yay, Banned Book Week. So
Books
every
are so
September,
dangerous.
the last week of September is dedicated to banned books. If you've been following us, if you've been listening, you already know that's basically what we do here. Like, we're trying to read all the banned books. I want to know what you don't want me to know. How about that? Okay, I'm that bitch. So I definitely am looking forward to unpacking that, the significance, some of the banned books that we've covered so far, some of our faves, some of the ones we want to read. We want to hear from you guys. If there are banned books that are a must, you guys tag us in it, send it to our email, put it on our Instagram, comment on our Facebook, comment on our YouTube page, all of the things. So it's going to be fun. So don't miss out, you guys. We're going to have a blast.
Yeah, I like it.
Yes, ma'am. All right, guys. Well, listen, I'm tired. I'm motherfucking tired. Okay.
And we did it.
Uh, yes, along with lots of other stuff. As always, guys, we enjoyed it. Hopefully you did. We got some extra content today. Um, and Kat, anything you want to leave everybody with?
Your body
Um,
belongs to you.
yeah.
Shake
It
it.
does. Shake it. Don't break it. It took your mama 9 months to make it. And as always, you guys, art is the gateway to change. Art is the gateway to finding yourself. So be involved in stuff that kind of taps into the artistic energy.
Yeah,
Be
send us
around
some fan
people
art.
who do
Fan
it.
art for
Yeah, I
us.
would love to see that. That'd be
We need
super
stuff to
dope.
post.
Yeah, we do. Content is king. So
Mhm.
you guys, thank you as always. And I guess we'll leave it right here.
Yeah.
Before we go, we must give thanks to Urban Nerd for providing our music. Buzz Viral Marketing runs our social media.
And legal services were handled by Trezanae M. Atkins.
If you like what you heard,
Please feel free to join us every Wednesday for another fake ass book club.
cheers. Thank you guys for listening. You can check us out at thefabpodcast.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you're listening right now. We want to hear from you. Come put it in our life. Thanks again. And until next time, peace, love, and the Fake Ass Book Club. We out.